Tonight, something once unthinkable is happening. Walmart, the nation's retail giant, is closing stores across America. The blue and yellow signs are going dark, leaving empty parking lots and locked doors as symbols of a crisis. This isn't just about one company, it's a shockwave through the entire US economy. The catalyst? A sweeping new set of tariffs on Chinese imports enacted by President Trump's administration, meant to protect American industry, but instead driving up prices on everyday goods. For Walmart, built on low prices, these tariffs have proven impossible to absorb. The closures are more than economic, they're personal, affecting millions who rely on Walmart for jobs, groceries, and daily essentials. As communities reel, urgent questions arise about our economic policies and the stability of the supply chains we depend on. Tonight we explore how this crisis unfolded, what it means for you, and where America goes from here. To understand today's crisis, we must revisit the fraught history of US-China trade. For decades, Americans enjoyed cheap goods from China, while US companies relied on Chinese manufacturing. But tensions simmered over trade deficits, intellectual property, and currency manipulation. President Trump's first term saw tariffs and retaliation, but the core issues remained unresolved. Returning to office, Trump doubled down with the Patriot Tariff Act, a sweeping 60% tariff on nearly all Chinese imports. The goal was to force American manufacturing home, but economists warned of dire consequences. The tariffs hit fast and hard, affecting everything from electronics to clothing. For Walmart, sourcing much of its inventory from China, the math no longer worked. Prices soared, shattering the promise of everyday low prices. The trade war's shadow had finally fallen, plunging American retail into crisis. Walmart's announcement sent shockwaves through the retail world and beyond. The news was unprecedented, leaving both shoppers and employees stunned, as headlines flashed across the nation. In a move that few could have predicted, 945 stores, nearly 20% of its US locations, would close by the end of August. The closures spanned coast to coast, impacting cities, suburbs, and especially small towns that relied on Walmart as a lifeline. CEO Doug McMillon addressed the nation, citing the crushing impact of tariffs imposed on imported goods. He explained that the company simply couldn't absorb the skyrocketing costs, nor could it pass them on to customers already struggling with inflation. The decision, he said, was made with a heavy heart. 300,000 employees now face layoffs, with the hardest-hit regions in the Midwest and Southeast. For many, Walmart was more than just a job. It was a source of stability and pride. Liquidation sales began July 20th, drawing crowds hoping for bargains but also marking the end of an era. Final closures are set for August 31st, leaving shelves bare and communities reeling. The company promises severance packages and job placement help, but for many, uncertainty looms large. The future feels unclear and the sense of loss is palpable. The White House calls the closures a necessary step toward a stronger economy, arguing that tough choices must be made. Meanwhile, state leaders warn of economic catastrophe, pointing to the ripple effects on local businesses and tax revenues. For workers like Sarah Jenkins in rural Pennsylvania, the loss is deeply personal. "It's not just a paycheck, it's our community," she says, her voice breaking. The store was a gathering place, a source of connection and support. Her story echoes across the country. Families suddenly facing lost jobs, mounting bills, and uncertain futures. The impact stretches far beyond the store's walls, touching every aspect of daily life. The dominoes set in motion by tariffs are falling fast, crushing lives and livelihoods in their path. Each closure triggers more job losses, more empty storefronts, and more communities left behind. The political fallout is intensifying as local leaders scramble to respond, organizing emergency meetings and seeking solutions to stem the tide of economic hardship. The Walmart closures are a stark reminder of how policy decisions ripple through real lives, leaving lasting scars on families, workers, and entire communities across America. The numbers only tell part of the story. The real impact is felt in towns now left adrift, where the loss of a single store can ripple through every aspect of daily life. In places like Flint, Michigan, and Mobile, Alabama, Walmart was more than a store. It was a lifeline for jobs, affordable food, and a sense of community. For many, it was the anchor that kept neighborhoods afloat, providing not just groceries and goods, but also a place to gather and connect. Its closure creates food deserts, making it harder for families to access fresh produce and essentials. The absence of Walmart tears at the social fabric, leaving behind empty shelves and a sense of abandonment. Community events vanish, local charities lose support, and the mood turns somber. The spaces that once buzzed with activity now stand silent, and the organizations that relied on Walmart's donations struggle to fill the gap. Many affected areas are in states crucial to President Trump's election, leaving voters feeling betrayed and uncertain about the future. The promises of economic revival now seem distant, replaced by frustration and doubt. "We wanted jobs back, not to lose the ones we had," says a former factory worker in Ohio, echoing the sentiment of thousands who feel left behind by shifting policies and broken promises. The narrative of economic battle clashes with the reality of empty shelves and pink slips. For many, the fight for prosperity has turned into a struggle just to get by. Households are forced to choose between patriotic ideals and economic survival, weighing loyalty to their country against the urgent need to provide for their families. Dinner table conversations are now filled with worry and tough decisions. The human cost is measured in lost livelihoods, anxious families, and the uncertainty that shadows every paycheck. The sense of security that once came with steady work has vanished for many. Millions now find themselves on the front lines of a trade war they never asked for, facing an uncertain future and hoping for answers that may never come. The scale of this crisis is staggering. 300,000 Walmart jobs lost could trigger over 750,000 total job losses when you count suppliers and local businesses. Tariffs have driven up prices, furniture up 18%, electronics 22%, apparel 25%. The average family now pays $2,000 to $3,000 more per year for essentials. Local governments lose millions in sales tax revenue, threatening schools, police, and public services. In many rural counties, Walmart was the largest taxpayer. Its loss creates a fiscal cliff. The Dow Jones has dropped over 2,000 points, and retail stocks are plummeting. Investors fear more closures and supply chain chaos. The numbers reveal a grim reality: rising unemployment, soaring inflation, and collapsing local economies, all of it cascading from a single policy decision. Walmart's closures are a boulder in the economic pond. Ripples are everywhere. Small businesses near shuttered stores lose foot traffic and face closure. Local diners, salons, and pharmacies are at risk as commercial centers hollow out. American farmers, once major Walmart suppliers, now face plummeting demand and shrinking markets. Retaliatory tariffs from China add to their woes, threatening family farms nationwide. On Wall Street, panic spreads as investors question the future of global supply chains. Retail and consumer stocks tumble, and confidence in the market erodes. The shock isn't contained. It hits every household, from retirement accounts to local tax bases. The interconnectedness of our economy means no one is insulated. The consequences of this trade war are now painfully clear, from Main Street to Wall Street. The question, if Walmart can't survive, who can? Leading economists are sounding the alarm, raising urgent concerns about the direction of current economic policy. Their warnings are growing louder as the consequences begin to unfold across industries and communities. Dr. Evelyn Reed, former Federal Reserve governor and a respected voice in global finance, calls the new tariff strategy a fundamental misunderstanding of modern economics. She emphasizes that such policies ignore decades of research and real-world experience. You can't wall off the U.S. economy and expect jobs to reappear overnight. Manufacturing doesn't simply return because borders close. It requires investment, innovation, and stable trade relationships. Disrupting global supply chains creates chaos, not growth. The ripple effects are immediate: delays, shortages, and rising costs for businesses and consumers alike. Mark Zandi of Moody's Analytics warns the Walmart closures are just the first tremor. If tariffs stay, a deep recession is likely within 6 months. He points out that these closures signal deeper problems in the retail and logistics sectors. Unemployment could reach double digits as the economy lurches. Workers across multiple sectors are already feeling the pressure, with layoffs and hiring freezes spreading rapidly. Dr. Kenji Tanaka, a leading trade specialist, highlights global risks. This shockwave encourages protectionism and retaliation worldwide, he explains, warning that the effects won't be limited to the US alone. European and Asian markets are already reacting negatively, with stock prices tumbling and investor confidence shaken. The uncertainty is spreading fast. The global trading system that lifted billions from poverty is now at risk. Developing nations in particular face setbacks as demand for their exports drops and growth stalls. While a few support the tariffs as necessary pain for long-term gain, most experts see them as a blunt, destructive tool that threatens economic stability and prosperity. The consensus among economists is clear: these policies are pushing the U.S. economy toward a cliff, with little hope of a soft landing if current trends continue. The path is unsustainable and fraught with peril, marked by warning signs that are becoming impossible to ignore. The data and real-world evidence are overwhelming, painting a stark picture of the risks ahead if urgent action isn't taken. With the nation reeling, the urgent question is, what now? Political pressure is mounting, even within the president's own party, to reconsider the tariff strategy. Companies are scrambling to shift supply chains, but most are moving to Vietnam, Mexico, or India, not back to the US. In the short term, costs rise and jobs vanish. The dream of a manufacturing renaissance collides with global reality. For consumers, rising prices and job insecurity mean less spending, threatening a recession. Some economists say reversing the tariffs could calm markets, but political obstacles are immense. The closed Walmart stores won't reopen overnight, and trust in supply chains is shattered. America stands at a crossroads. Will this be a temporary crisis, or the start of prolonged hardship? The next decisions will shape the nation's future. We've shown you the shuttered stores, the rising prices, and the human cost. This is a national crisis born from a policy of economic confrontation. The promise was strength, but the result is pain for millions. The path forward demands clarity, honesty, and a smarter approach to trade. Blanket tariffs have proven to be economic self-harm. We need targeted, strategic solutions that recognize our prosperity is tied to global stability. This isn't a partisan issue, it affects every American. We must demand accountability and real answers from our leaders. The future isn't written, it depends on your engagement and demand for sensible solutions. The strength of our nation is in facing challenges head-on and finding a better way. Thank you for watching. Good night.